Hey, this is Wolf from Armoury-Terrain, and you're watching this video because you want to know how to make a Bronze Age dagger. At least a prop one for on stage or for a photo shoot. I'm not going to say it'd be great for film close-ups, but you know, you can't have everything for the quick, easy process that this is. So anyway, we're going to make this dagger today. Yep, one Bronze Age looking dagger. And the thing with bronze is you don't pull it out of a forge like steel and beat a bar into a knife. What you do is you carve a mold out of stone normally, and you melt the bronze and then you pour it into the mold. Then you hammer the bronze to work harden it, but you get all sorts of interesting textures on it, and this is the 3D printer waste. No sanding or anything else, it's just how it's come out of the sandwich press. So watch on and see how I made this knife. Okay, to melt down the waste products from the 3D printing, I'm using my sandwich press. Now in each of the corners I have washers to give me a little bit of thickness so it doesn't melt completely flat. Next step is to put in some baking paper. The sandwich press is already turned on, so it is hot, so hopefully I won't burn myself. Then it's a matter of laying the 3D print rubbish into the bed of it. Now, let's get a bit of a better angle there, so I can go right across. So what I'm aiming at here is to get a basic shape without forming a full sheet, so I don't have to cut as much on the bandsaw. I mean, it's all coming back into here anyway at some point. And keep it all on your paper, because otherwise you've got to clean it off the hot sandwich press, and nobody really wants to do that, surely. There's more fun things to be doing. Okay, now that should be plenty, so let's squash it down. Okay, I'm impatient. Let's have a quick look at it and see how we're doing. Obviously it's not all melded together yet, but it's already getting all sorts of sticky, if you can see that, and getting nice and soft. So another couple of minutes and it should all be bonded together. Okay, we're about 8 minutes or so into the melt at the moment. Now I've already stopped twice and added a little bit more material in places where I didn't think there was enough. As you can see, it's almost become a homogeneous type lump, but it's going to need another couple of minutes yet. So I'm going to leave it for another 3 or 4 minutes, and then I'm going to turn it off and let it cool here in the sandwich press. And the paper's moved a bit while I was loading it, so I've got filament to clean off the bed when I'm done, which is going to be so much fun to do. So much fun. Anyway, back to the melting. Oh dear, oh dear. Well, it's well and truly flat. Unfortunately, it kind of exploded out the edges there, and let me swing the camera up a little bit. You can see it's hanging off the top as well, and this is going to be quite a mess to clean up. So, as a word to the wise, don't overfill your sandwich press and then squeeze down on it, because bad things happen. Okay, moving right along. Once it sets or cools down, I have this dagger pattern that I'm going to cut out of it. Now this is going to represent the Bronze Age dagger, so it's got the classic leaf shaped blade, and then I'll be adding more layers to the handle and probably wrapping it in leather. So we'll see how that goes. But I definitely have enough material to do it. And if I didn't want to make a dagger, I could always make a spearhead. Anyway, cleaning this up time. Well, cleaning up the press wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. This is the main part. I think I'm going to claim it as a sculpture. Call it the wave of washers or something. But no, once the washers are fully cool, I'll break them out of there. But yeah, so it peeled off the Teflon. Yay for Teflon! So anyway, I got a nice colourful sheet, and on the bandsaw, I just cut this shape out of it. How about I move the rest of it so you can see it properly? So it obviously needs sanding yet, but it's a nice thin blade. It does have a little bit of flex, but that won't be a problem as I'm not actually stabbing anybody with it. It's going to be a straight out prop knife. And if I was really worried about it, I could add a stiffening ridge down the center. But I'm really not that concerned. So it should be fine. So now I'm going to use my Dremel and give it a bit of a shaping just to clean it up. Some of the edges are a little bit burry, as you can see. If I hold in front of the camera, you can see. So I'm going to give it a bit of a clean up, and then I'm going to hit it with some grey undercoat or primer. Then I'm going to hit it with some bronze. And once it's bronze, I'll come back and show you the effect. Okay, so I've cut out the blade. I've painted it bronze, but it still doesn't look right. So what I've done is I've gotten some green paint and watered it down, and now I'm just going to slather it all over the blade. Doesn't that look appealing? Okay, once it's all over the blade, grabbing a tissue, wipe the majority of it off. So the difference is between blade with green paint on it and blade without green paint on it. I think this one looks a lot more believable with a little bit of patina than being that shiny. And that's something that a lot of prop makers and cosplayers don't think of, is that metal, especially bronze, bronze and copper become green quite quickly, especially when touched with human oils and sweats. Don't forget to do the edges of the blade as well, and then keep wiping it off. So as you can see, I haven't sanded this at all. This is just how it came out of the sandwich press. So it had grooves, it had dings in it, and that's okay because bronze blades were cast, normally in a stone mold. So you'd expect some imperfections as you're pouring molten metal into the mold. Actually, that's possibly where the sword and the stone legend comes from King Arthur. But anyway, now that I've got the blade pretty much finished, I need a handle. So for the handle, I've cut 2 pieces of balsa wood to pretty much the right size. What I'm going to do now is hot glue these onto the handle, and once they're hot glued on, I'm going to get the Dremel again and carve down the sides. I'm then going to wrap them in leather, and that should be pretty much the last step. Okay, here we have the finished dagger. As you can see, I painted the balsa wood handle, and then I've wrapped some leather thonging around it. Just some bits and pieces that I had floating around. Luckily it was just about the right size. But the dagger on its own, just what do you do when it's not in your hand? It needs to go somewhere. So I've thrown together this quick sheath for it. As you can see, there's a little bit of detailing on it, but not a whole lot. And it's just made out of some 4mm leather. So my bronze dagger has a home to go into. Is it a great piece? Not really. Will it do for a stage prop or for a photo shoot? Most definitely. So anyway, this is just made from stuff I had here in the workshop and 3D printer waste. So this is Wolf from Armoury-Terrain saying stay in and make something.